How great would it be to get up close and personal with the beauty industry heroes we love and admire, and to ask them, how did you learn to do what you do? I'm Chris Baran, a hairstylist and educator for 40 plus years, and I'm inviting all our heroes to chat and share the secrets of their success. Well, welcome to Headcases. I must say that this one's going to be fun. I really love this lady. She is the Great Lengths USA Executive Artistic Director, as well as a L'Oreal Global Artist, Celebrity Stylist, the Ulta Beauty Prosumer Ambassador. Her awards are too many to list individually, but she's a 13-time NAHA winner and finalist, 10-time Bigshot winner and finalist, as well as many other categories in other awards as well. And, her work and styling and photography work is so beautiful that I just can't imagine that there is a magazine out there that has not featured her work. She is a business coach, a beauty, wellness, and fashion influencer. She's been featured in Maxim magazine as one of the 14 most influential entrepreneurs to watch in 2023. So let's get into this week's head case, Danielle Keasling. Danielle, we worked hard to get you on here because you're so sought after, but welcome to Head Cases.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
What I always say is, it's always good to be had, So, but it's funny, Danielle. The show circuit has kept us together and apart at the same time, because 100%. Different manufacturers, different shows, different model rooms, and sometimes we can overhear each other in the next model room. But it's what I'm loving about Head Cases. I actually get to meet these people, and I'm really excited about meeting you and having you here.
Yeah.
So. Is it okay if I blow a little smoke at you here?
You can blow whatever you want.
And I don't mean blowing smoke as in made up. Your work is stunning, to say the least. And in the intro that we did, we talked about all your awards, and I see them behind you there. Envy is coming out here. But I loved it. Tell me a little bit. First of all, I want to find out more about that. But before we even get to that, I want to find out more just about where you came from. Tell me a little bit about hair. Why hair?
Right.
Whatever happened to get you into this glorious mess that we have?
It's so funny. I have no one in my family who has been in the hair industry or the fashion business or anything. They were all doctors, lawyers, pilots, and I just grew up such a girly girl and was so into hair and so into makeup. And as I just progressed through high school and school, I was like, I really, really just gravitated towards the beauty industry. And,
right.
Funny thing, and a lot of us have experienced it, I'm sure, that especially us veterans, is that, before social media and before times changed, being a hairstylist was, not what our parents were anticipating us to do, right? So there was the whole navigating behind coming from a background of getting really incredible grades and being really good at what I did in school to having that hard conversation with my parents to tell them that I wanted to actually go to cosmetology school and not college.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, Mom and Dad, it's like either drugs or hairdressing school. So
yes.
Tell me which one. Yeah, it's interesting, is it? And
so interesting.
I hear that from so many people.
Yeah.
And it's the beautiful thing about what we do now. And I know that you're a great mentor for things like this, but is this how we can help to direct and refocus people's vision of what the potential that happened there. So, and that's where I kind of want to go now is that, okay, Mom and Dad, I want to be a hairdresser. Then you take out the heart machine, go zap to get it back into reality. And what was it like at the very beginning when you went to hair school? Like, what was it like? Was it difficult? Was it hard?
No,
You're the girly girl.
it was funny. I had been doing hair on the side as a high schooler for
Hmm.
3 years before I even graduated high school. So like going to cosmetology school was like a piece of cake for me. I had a
Yeah.
natural knack for it, and it was more convincing my parents that that was actually a profitable business. So knowing them, and then also growing up in such a business mindset, it was like I did the spreadsheet. I like talked to my hairstylist and was like, this is how much money she makes. She's got 3 kids. She has health insurance. She worked for a very like profitable
Yeah.
organization in Minneapolis at the time, is where I was growing up. And, then it was kind of like, okay, well, as long as it makes sense financially,
Right.
we'll give it a shot. So I kind of did a compromising situation where I went to college for the first year and to hair school simultaneously, and then just was like, all right, this is what I'm called to do, and this is what I need
Right.
to do. So yeah, and now I make more money than anyone in my family. So there you go.
Well, first of all, I think that's a high five all the way around there. Yes. So what did you take? What was the course you took when you went to college?
I was in college for business and marketing,
Oh,
and
smart.
went to the U of M. And I really had no idea. I was bouncing around with many things. My passion, like my hobbies, are scuba diving. So I was like, oh, I'm going to be a marine biologist. And then I
Oh,
started in that path. And then I was like, wow, they make zero money and they're working like all the time.
and hard to get a job.
Hard to get a
Yeah.
job, like
Yeah.
as a kid, I was like, I just want to work with dolphins. I mean, come on. So, went to business and marketing, and then started in that path. And then just, again, I, even though I'm a perfectionist and I always got great grades, I hated school. And,
Yeah.
hair for me was an outlet. It was something, like I said, I was self-taught and gravitated towards. And obviously it's done me really good things. So,
But I want to just fast forward a bit. What was it like when you got into the salon? And you obviously there. You seem like a competitive kind of person. Am I right in that?
very.
Is it? Yeah. So what was it like when you got into the salon? Because I think that people that are watching and listening always wonder. They look at their life progression in their career, or I should say, their career progression,
Mhm.
and they wonder what ours was like. What was your like when you got into the salon?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. So, I actually went through the Aveda Institute, and then I went and worked for an Aveda concept salon, and it was super scary. Like, I was like, I and remember, like I said, I was self-taught. I was doing friends' hair. I was doing friends' mom's hair in high school. I was cutting, I was coloring. I was like going to Target and buying box dye to do their hair. I mean, it was weird, but I did it and they loved it. And then I went through cosmetology school, which, taught me what actually I have to give a huge applause to Aveda for like the retail and business side of their program.
Good. Yeah.
Taught me so much skill set. We're all trying to get through state boards. So,
Yeah.
I got into the salon and I was like scared to death because I was like, this is a big deal. This is like giving somebody Botox or a facelift, or I mean, a haircut can change everything. And
Here.
I was like very. I will not give up on much, but I was very intimidated, and I think that it drove me a little bit, but it also. It pushed me to learn the retail side of things because I was like, well,
Right.
at the end of the day, I know I can sell like an entire line of cosmetics product, skincare, hair care, you name it, just because that having the opportunity to like change somebody's entire look based off of a haircut or a color was very intimidating at first.
Yeah. It's what I heard you say is like sort of like, when the samurai makes a samurai sword, they pound and fold and pound and fold, so it gets stronger and stronger and more flexible at the same time. And I had the great opportunity with Hal took us over to Japan, and we watched one of the masters build this sword, and he kept talking about that the more you pound it, the stronger it gets, and the more you fold it and pound it, then it becomes flexible and strong at the same time. And that sounds, whenever we go through hard times like that, and it's intimidating, hard to get through. You're trying to figure out your pace when everybody else, probably at that time when you just got out of school, had maybe more skill, more of something else than you might have had then.
Yeah.
But that's what really makes us stronger.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I was an introvert, so
me too.
And it's so funny how introverts like us get involved in the beauty industry, because I was super shy. I was super I was confident, yet I was shy. And, I just didn't I love to be around people and fix problems and, make people feel beautiful. But as far as reaching out to people in our industry, I thought that was so untouchable. I remember going through hospitality school and looking at someone like Sonia Dove, who is actually a really personally good friend of mine now, family. Wow. And I just remember thinking she's such a celebrity. She's so untouchable. She's so, and now we drink wine together and vacation together, and it's so bizarre, but it's really interesting to go back and look back at the 30 years when you started.
Would you say you're still an introvert?
Yeah, in a way. I definitely, what I've realized with what we do is, especially getting into education and, being on the, what I call the trade side of the profession, I give everything. I focus so much on giving everything that when I'm home, I'm an introvert. When I'm on the road and when I'm in around our people and in our industry, I will definitely come out of that. But when I come home, I'm I don't want to go. I don't leave my house. I'm kind of a hermit.
Well, I'm asking you another question just along that line, because I think I'm getting some therapy here at the same time. Is when you're at the trade shows, and you have, the obligatory party you have to go to, or, it's done and you're supposed to go down to the bar and socialize with other people. Is it still, you have to get out of your own way to get there, or is it just I can't wait to get down there?
No, sometimes it's I got to get out of my own way. I can't, actually there's both sides to it. I can't wait. Especially after COVID, I was oh my gosh, I'm so craving, interaction with people. But at the same time, that was also the time that taught me how to set boundaries, because I had zero boundaries before. I had literally I don't even know how I functioned before we all had a pause in our life and then really assessed how we show up and what the boundaries are and what you're capable of doing with the traveling and the education and the talking and the, all the things that come with our job. I did not have any boundaries. So, now I'm still, do I enjoy communicating with our industry and going down and showing up? Absolutely. Is it still something that I have to plan for? 100%. Because even more so now, I'm I have to protect my energy, and so I can actually be the best at what I'm doing and what I'm giving to the industry. Otherwise, with all of the people out doing things now, everything's changed so much. So how do we stay relevant? How do we protect our energy, give us boundaries so we can show up the best we can?
Yeah, I think, and it's really interesting because when you look at that, not everybody listening, watching to this is in our industry. They're always curious about the people in our industry. But if you had to give somebody advice based on that was working in the salon all the time about protecting your energy, what would you say to them?
I just think that you have to really prioritize and you have to set goals. Goal setting for me was how I got to where I'm at. And, if I just kind of lollygagged through and just said, oh, well, we'll see what happens and like let it go, like, I don't think I would
Yeah.
have gotten to where I'm at. So I think goal setting is really huge. And it also keeps you on a path of, knowing what's next and focusing your energy to prioritize like boundaries and prioritize
Yeah.
what you want out of your career.
Yeah. And I think that there is times, if, as an owner, as somebody working in a salon as well, I just had a great conversation just yesterday, as a matter of fact, with somebody who actually ended up getting unhealthy simply because they couldn't say no
Yeah.
to everything, to work, to all the other sideline gigs, etc. And you can actually work yourself into being diseased,
Yeah.
and I don't mean that from not trying to pick a disease. I'm just saying that your body is not at ease. It's dis-ease.
Yeah.
And you can get yourself sick by it. So I know that particularly if you're ambitious and competitive, you can really set yourself up on that. So I think what you're saying about protect your energy, and then what do you do to make sure that you can get some calmness in your life at the same time as all the energy that we have to give. Good friend of ours always talks about your life force particles, and then if you're constantly giving, the way that I imagine it is like in the movies when you see that somebody's disintegrating, but anytime you're talking and giving, you have these life force particles that come out of you, and they're absorbed by that other person. And I think I hear what you're saying is that we have to do something so that we get those life force particles back. We can't be constantly giving.
100%. And it's so funny you're saying this, and I can relate to this because before COVID, I would leave a hair show and I literally created like this whole campaign hashtag that was plane cry, because I would like get on the plane and just have one cocktail and like be bawling my eyes out. And I'm like, and people next to me are like, why is this chick crying? Like, what is her deal? But it was like you gave so much. You
Yeah.
didn't say no to anything. You didn't have any boundaries. You didn't sleep. We drank too much. I mean, it was insane. And now
Yeah.
I look back on that and I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, there's pros and cons of COVID, but like, my gosh, it really
Yeah.
showed me that like, and actually it's funny because when I finally was able to establish boundaries, I've been more successful with the jobs that I'm doing now than I was in the rat race and the hamster wheel of
Yeah.
pre-COVID. So it's like I've been able to focus more, have a little less stress, and be more successful just being able to set those boundaries and take a step back.
Yeah. Yeah, good for you. And I think that, I mean, we could probably go on for hours on that one because to me, it's that energy that's there. And I just want to do one thing that relates to that. I can remember having to do months and months and months of planning, organizing, making wigs and hair pieces, and doing the major production show at the end of a campaign for a manufacturer. And it was all over. Great success. Everybody was congratulating me. We all came around to the room, and I should say just me, the team, but it was all the stress that was there. And when you said get on the plane and cry,
Oh.
it just reminded me of we're all in the back room, and then the director of education at that time brings all the people and everybody that's in the room. And you know what it's like when you're done that program and it's just a release, and oh my God, it all came together. And they said, Chris, do you want to say something? And I just went, and I went into ugly cry
Yeah.
right at that point. So I know exactly what he means. So, and I think that cry is something that we have to do, so we don't go insane when things like that happen. So it just allows us for stressing relief.
Totally.
Now, I want to me, I think everything that I've seen about you is, and I wanted to talk to you about, was evolving and how you went from one of those to the next, so that the people that are listening can kind of get a vibe of, or a feeling of, how some of this happens, because they always put it on luck. Oh, that person just did
I
this.
don't know.
Yeah. How did
28
you?
years.
Okay. Yeah. How did you go from there, from behind the chair, to education? What was the hook that pulled
Oh,
you into that?
so wow. So I'm going to make a long story as quickly as I can put it together. So I mentioned earlier that I think that there's two sides of our industry. One's the trade, and then one's like fashion and consumer. And
Yeah.
when I had an opportunity and was getting a little like so long story short, I came from Minneapolis, moved to South Carolina. My parents retired down here. My dad got sick, passed away. I kind of got stuck here. Family stuff was like, I don't really like connect here. I need to be in a bigger city, but like family issues just, changed that. So every time I got a chance to go to New York, I would go to New York. I would do, work with session stylists, got really big in the fashion side of things, like just grinded because it was like my creative outlet. I live in a kind of, lack of better terms, a retirement area. So I wasn't doing like progressive hair. I was making a killer income. Don't get me wrong. This is the best place for business, but I needed to like have something else. So that's why I got into, flying up to New York, making connections, reaching out to people that I knew. And then from that, oddly enough, I went into this whole new direction where I was coming back here on the weekdays. I was killing myself behind the chair. I hired an assistant, but I was doing a booth rental situation. And then I was like, all right, maybe I need to open up a salon because I can just train people and then I can have more flexibility. So I started down this road, still going back and forth to New York, opening up a salon. And then in that whole realm of things, somebody suggested, actually it was my sales rep for Salon Centric, suggested that I try out an audition for a position as an educator for L'Oreal. And I was like, why would I do that? and like, why do I need something
I'm on my
else
path
to do?
Yeah, because I'm on my path with no stress.
Yeah, right. And so he was like, if you're going to open up a salon, this would be a great opportunity for you to get some like more formal education and know how to train people. And I was like, oh, that makes sense, So I did. It doesn't take much to convince me. I went and did this audition. I got the job. I did these level 1 classes for L'Oreal for, I kid you not, I think it was 3 years just so I could have like education to give my staff because I was focused on building my staff and I loved to do Fashion Week and I loved to do editorial and all this stuff. And then I came across Maggie Mulhern, all people,
love her.
and she connected the dots and was like, wait a second, you are an educator for L'Oreal and you do like session styling. Like, tell me about that. And I was, at that point, I really didn't know much about our education world. I was just like, I'm like, I mean, I thought it was cool. I like didn't really, and she's like, I basically write for Modern Salon. I'm one of the editors. And I really, honestly, I was so focused in fashion that I didn't really know much about the trade. I didn't know much about Modern Salon, Beauty Launchpad, all these magazines. Like, I didn't really know much about education. I was just like selfishly using the education I was getting for L'Oreal to train my staff and build my business. So she invited me up to New York to do a photo shoot. And she was like, this is such a great story for the magazine. And it ended up getting the front cover. And then basically what I said, my cover was blown because then it was like, immediately Matrix was like, who is this girl that works for us? And how has she worked for us for 3 years and no one knows who she is? And how is she on the front
because
cover?
you had her doing bloody product knowledge classes.
So very interesting. And then it was like, well, we want you to do this. And I was like, I was not a public speaker. The thought of being on stage made me just want to throw up. I was literally just like, this is so out of my box, like completely out of my wheelhouse. And I I don't know. I'm also, you said, very competitive. So when that was kind of presented, I was like, well, what the heck? What do you have to lose? Like, this could
Yeah.
be a really great thing, or it could be a total disaster. But it was a challenge to myself, and that's kind of how I got into where we're at now.
It's really interesting, and I find there's this thing we do in when we're coaching somebody, and you always say, what would happen after that? And what would happen after that? And then what would happen after that? When they're having a problem, and if you keep asking that question over and over, so they see the progression, and half of the time it would be, what happened after that? And they'd say nothing. And so when you think about what you said, well, I'm willing just to jump in, and you very quickly got yourself, well, it's either going to blow up and I'll be back where I was, and it's not going to affect me, or I got an opportunity to go further. So I just find that there's so many people that are out there that have, here's the big thing. What you showed, in my mind, this is my analysis. I'm paying you back now for the psychology lesson that you gave me in helping me with my issues, was that you just went out there and you were good at what you did. You loved doing the training, and that made people notice you. And then you just jump in one step closer. And it's not that you're jumping into the fire. There's some heat that comes to you, but you've got to keep stepping forward. Otherwise, everything else is going to just pass you by.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so how did, okay, now, so you were in photography, and then all of a sudden you got noticed, and the education started to come. What was it like when you first started into education? You were saying that you didn't know anything about it at the beginning. It's all hard knocks. What was it like for you when you first started educating?
It was a challenge. I won't lie. And it was a challenge because at the time there were no female directors for my company with Matrix.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It was, and there had been a lot of people there for a lot of time that felt that they were in a much better position than somebody that no one knew about. And so I had to, when I made the decision to continue forward with it, and I was like, all right, well, this might be a path. I had to figure out how to navigate that world, because I had really no idea.
Yeah.
I didn't know what people made. I didn't know what the job description was. As you know, it can be very vague and all over the place. So like, it was a whole different world that I was completely like not knowledgeable about. And being an introvert, I was also not somebody that gravitated towards putting myself out there and getting a coach or hiring somebody to help me. And at that time, I mean, this was now probably over 10 years, maybe 12 years ago. It wasn't like that. We were still living in a very different world in our industry. So it was a lot more cutthroat. It was a lot more ego. I think that there was just
jealousy.
Yeah, it was just a different world. So it was not easy. Trust me. There are stories, and we won't go into it because we could do a whole nother podcast on those, but it was really, really interesting, to a point where I got actually so discouraged, from ego and jealousy that I was just like, I'm out. And somebody came to me and was like, no, we see your value. Just give us some time and we're going to push this through. And, and I'm glad I did it, because at the end of the day, this is what fuels me. This is literally what sets me on fire, giving back, teaching, training, acknowledging all the crap that I went through, and just don't now I'm here, you don't have to go through that. You can just, get a mentor, and we can just fast pace you.
So you brought up something really interesting there that I love. As you said that you got a mentor. Give us a little bit more about that. Who was it? How did that help you? What did you do, et cetera? Because I think there's so many people that they hear the word mentor, but they have no idea how to find one, to where to go, what to do, how do you do it, etc. Tell us about your journey in there.
I think it's really like most of our like business and in the industry is built on mentorship. And,
Yeah.
just as in the fashion world, I didn't just like jump into session styling. I had to like work under session stylists and be available when they couldn't be there and like put in your time. And I didn't get paid a lot. And I had to spend my own money to fly to New York to do this. And it was just like, there was times where I'm like, what am I doing? But it was like what I wanted to do and what I love to do. And our industry is no different. The trade side of the industry is no different. Like if you want to, if it's being on stage that you want to do, if it's creating a coaching program that you want to do, if it's being an educator for a brand that you want to do, you have to put your time in, and I did a lot of work when I got noticed, and I was like, all right, this is the path I want to go to. It was a lot of like, okay, now we're going to do this, now we're going to do that. But at the end of the day, I just put myself out there, and to every director that was on that team, I'm like, I will be here. I will show up. I will support. I will braid. I will do whatever I need to do to have some experience and knowledge, because I had no idea. Like I needed to put myself into those positions to even learn how to be a leader or how to be a mentor, because I really had no clue. I didn't understand that side of the business. So, out of all the people that I worked with, and I've worked with, it was obviously like a Dan and all these people from Matrix that started. I worked under Benson. I worked under, really everyone and anyone. I had no ego. I was like, let me do whatever I can and I'll just show up. And, I also had that business mindset. So like I had the salon running. I had, that income helping me to be able to have the time and the resources to do that. So I think there's that balance too of figuring that out and really knowing what you want to do. But I just think it's so important, because at the end of the day, like, it's kind of like you can't teach yourself how to be a leader. Like you have to surround yourself with leaders to be a leader.
Yeah, I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm even understanding more. I had another question I wanted to ask you later, just about how that your photographic work evolved, and again, this is the part what I said earlier about. It's going to sound like I'm blowing smoke, but I'm not, because it's true that all your work is always so beautiful, but I think there's this fine line between beauty, creating an emotion, doing something that's truly new and innovative, but tasteful at the same time. And that's one thing I think the reason, if you look behind you, you'll only see but a few of them, of the awards that you have there from NAHA and other places. But the reality is what I'd love to hear from you is how taste is an element that's there. Particularly in photography. Well, I think in everything, but it has to do with photography. If you could define or give us something, like when you say the taste of your work, if you had to define that in a way, and I realize as I'm saying, it's probably almost impossible to answer, but yeah.
Expensive.
Well, see, now you're proving why women are smarter than men.
No, my taste in my work is expensive and elevated. And I want, everything that I touch, I want it to be inspirational and aspirational to a woman, a man that wants to be that person, be that character, have that feeling. And when I look at collections that I've done, I'm like, I want all my models to feel beautiful and elegant and show up feeling like not only are they a representation of my brand, but they feel beautiful, because the representation of my brand is to make people feel beautiful. So whether you're male, female, whatever, like it's, for me, I want you to feel your best self. So I think that it's evolved over time, and to your point, when you're working with mentors, I mean, like, I will be like completely authentic right now. Like, I look at some of my work that I put out when I started with L'Oreal and Matrix, and I was very involved with Christopher Benson, and he has a very strong aesthetic.
Distinct.
And I look at some of the collections that I was like dabbling in when I was learning how to do this stuff, and I'm like, who am I? And what was that? Because I was trying to be him, or not be him, but like recreate something that I was aware that people liked. And there was a point in my career, and it was actually the day I went to shoot my 2018 Hairstylist of the Year award that I got actually from you. That the day I showed up on set, I had a very hard month, and I didn't have a lot of plan. Like I went into it with a little bit less planning, and Ammon Carver was like, what are you doing? Like, because we always talked about this stuff. And I'm like, I really don't know right now. I've had so much, like, I know, like, I have a wardrobe and that's all. And he's like, wow, that's so not you. And I'm like, I know, I'm so organized. And, you know, in the past I had done mannequins, and he's like, he said the best advice that anyone's really, he's like, literally, if I could just give you a piece of advice, it would be just do Danielle. Because when you do Danielle, you do the best work. And when you're trying to do what you think people are wanting to see, you hold back and you don't do your best work. And it was such a little thing, but it sits with me all the time. And when I say that and share that with other people, I see magic happen. And you know, if they're at a level in their career where they feel confident with what they do, where I was at that point, I wasn't questioning my best work. I was questioning what the NAHA judges wanted to see.
Right.
You know, and he just flipped that switch. And that day was actually the most magical day to this day on set, because everything worked out. And I remember the team, my photographer, the makeup artist, even Nick Stenson was like, I don't even know why I'm going to shoot. Like, you just won. And I'm like, oh, come on. That's so not. And they were like, no, you just like literally like put it in the bag. So yeah, that's just, those are one of those magical moments, and it doesn't always happen like that. But that's when I really became like Danielle.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's so much in what you just said about doing what you do well and not thinking about the other. I remember people always, was fortunate enough to win a couple of things. So people come up to you and ask, what should I do? And I just said, well, do what you like. Don't, because they used to say, what do the judges want? I went, well, it doesn't give a rat's bottom what the judges like, because just do what you like. Because even if you do something that you hate, that you think somebody else is going to like, they're going to hate it. You're going to hate it, and you'll never get anything out of it. But if you do what here was always been my philosophy. If you can do what you want to do that make you feel good about, and I've done collections that I went, I love this collection. Even if I don't win, I love this collection. Yeah. And at least you've got something then that you can get PR with. Magazines will want it. They'll pick it up. But if it's not something you don't like, then you get judged by it as well. So 100%. You've always got to do something that is you. And I think that was such profound. I'm going to try to use it, make it into a big word, such profundity that you just gave us out there. This episode is sponsored by the Salon Associate Accelerator from trainersplaybook.com. Are you struggling with the time and cost of associate training? Do you feel like your salon is running you? We'll get your associates on the floor, all with 90% less time from you, so you can get back to building your business. Get them world-class design, finishing, color, and client care skills they'll use every day for the rest of their career, while you focus on realizing your vision. Go to trainersplaybook.com and get the Salon Associate Accelerator. And now, back to the show. Okay, so we talked about the same. I'm curious though, because you said that you came in without, but yet you gave us this. You usually come in prepared, mannequins, prepped it out, know exactly what you're going to do. What are you like in the process of doing all that? Are you a collaborator? Do you like to work it on your own better? What's your MO?
So up until then, I think I just pigeonholed myself a little bit on being so organized, and I wasn't willing to be flexible. Like it was like, so if I planned a hairstyle and that's what I wanted to do, that's what I was going to do. And sometimes that does not suit the model. It does not make someone feel good. It doesn't suit their face shape. And then that like level of what I consider my luxury or my expensive taste, like then that goes into that. Like, cause then you've taken something and you've just put it on. It's like, I don't know how to describe it, right? It's like taking Tiffany and putting it on Target. I mean, like it was, you know, so I once I finally, kind of got actually really that photo shoot changed my whole philosophy on the way that I approach things, and being flexible and being more in the moment and being true to myself, and like realizing that like I can't do everything for everyone, but I can do what I feel really good about, and the people that appreciate it will love it. And if it's not your jam, it's not your jam. And to be honest with you, it's I look at my work and, you know, I don't think, I think it's pretty neutral. I think that people understand that I put a lot of time and effort into like what I do, but I might do it on the fly. And it's not always easy. Like, you know how it is. Like when you're turning in decks and formats and all this other stuff that everyone's asking me for. And this actually happened today with Great Lengths. I was like, I can order the hair. Like, but I don't know exactly what these, like I have to get there. Like, you know, what two looks are you going to do on each of these models that you're seeing on pictures? I'm like, I'm not 100. I don't know yet. I can kind of dial it in, but like, let's order the hair first step.
Yes. You know, I'm going to go a little roundabout here with you on this. But I remember when I was back in Canada at the salon that I have, Central Canada, Saskatchewan, small town. And one of my best friends, he had a teacher mentor, but also just best friend who was this older gentleman named Ernest Lindner, who was one of Canada's group of 7 for art.
Okay.
And he introduced them to me, and I did his hair. And it's like one of those things when you're doing somebody that's such a, like the part of when he walked in and I just said, Ernie, you know, this is just, I'm so honored to do your hair. I don't want anything. It was just more it did more for me than it did for you.
Yes.
And he just said, thank you. And the next day he came in with this, Cliff, my buddy, came in with this picture and he said, Ernie wants you to have this. And I went, oh, well, that's nice. And he looked at me and he went, You have no idea what this costs, do you? And I went, no. I mean, I was the kind of guy that art should match your couch. So, you know, I just said no. And he said, look, this is just a litho he gave you that is at that time in the 70s he said, this is like $1,500 is what this is worth right now, just the litho.
Okay.
And I went, okay. And now here's the point I'm getting at. I did his hair again and again. Every time he wanted me to take another picture, and I just said, "No, Arnie, I can't. I've got to work off some of this stuff that you have." And I remember going over to his place just to pick out another one at one time. And this is where I want to throw something at you. Mm-hmm. He said, "I said, what do you want?" And I said, "Ernie, I would just love to have so I could hang it up on my wall something that is your favorite picture that you've ever done." And again, it was just lithos he was giving me. And he said, "I can't give that because I hate all my work."
Wow.
Yeah, he says I've never done anything that matched what was in my brain.
Wow.
So, I mean, I know I've done stuff that other people have gone, and I kind of, I didn't, wasn't the way I wanted to turn it out, and I didn't like it. I know even of all the shoots I've done, there's probably only about 3 that I'm really super super proud of, like you were with the one that just sort of came out.
Yeah.
What do you like? When you do your work? What is that like for you? Do you see it? Do you like it? Do you not like it? What does it look like to you when you see your work?
I mean, again, there was like the time where I just was still trying to find myself. And I did a lot of things that I was like, ooh, like, why did I do that? The turning point was really being true to myself again and winning Hairstylist of the Year and going, you know what? Like, I might not be everyone's taste, but I'm my taste. And
Yeah.
so when I do my work, I mean, again, being at the level that I'm at, I'm also doing, I have clients like,
Yeah.
Louise and I just shot the campaign for Pureology, and like, that's a client. So I have to, like, I can put my spin on it, but you have to give them what they're asking for. Right. So like,
right.
There's that factor, but when I do solely my work, it really is like, I like to try to push things a little bit, but there's just still that element of Danielle, like, and I'm okay with that. Like, I'm not trying to, I guess at this point in my career, I'm not trying to, I feel like I've captured the attention I need, and I'm not trying to like really deviate, and hopefully I stay relevant, and
Yeah, but it is about, I mean, I think that there is, and I'm not putting this on an ego side or an ego plane, but I think when you enter into competitions like that, there is something about the industry that's validating what your work is, and so you can just say to yourself, okay, good, I'm getting closer to the point where I'm at, where I want to be. And it's not about ego or anything else. Yes, it is nice to have the validation. It's nice to have the trophy on the wall. But the reality is, it's just so you've got a benchmark of where you're at,
where you
and you
feel
can measure
where you feel comfortable, and where your brand is, and and actually, that throws me into the whole, like, last year for NAHA. It was like, I'm comfortable. I mentored a couple of people that were paying coaching clients of mine, and then literally, like, the salon team of the year that we won was totally on the fly. Like, it was me just saying, guys, like, everyone just showed up so well today. We have an hour and a half. We still have 5 models. Like, this is insane. I've never finished a photo shoot an hour and a half early. And we've got 5 gorgeous models that we've, like, take them and, like, do something with them. And, and just the energy of like, showing up for them, and then giving them the opportunity to, like, go fly. And then just being there to say, like, support that process. I said this on stage. I was like, it wasn't complicated. Like, it was literally more from heart and from teamwork and support than it was from, like, a production standpoint. It was just everyone having each other's back and, like, listening to each other. And they turned 5 models in an hour and a half and won team of the year
and shot them and shot. See, anybody that's done a lot of shooting knows sometimes some photographers want at least 40, 45 minutes per model to shoot them. But yet you did the hair and shot them and warded them and got all of that done. And you still did that in an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So, but you had said something that was really interesting that ties us back in. You talked about energy and protecting your energy at the beginning, and you just talked about the release of the energy that happened there. Just do what you do. Have fun, and that's sometimes where it's when you just get that energy going and you have this complete energy in the room where everybody's vibing together. That's where really true creativity comes from.
Yeah. And it is. You have to capitalize on those things. And that's the other thing is I do say this at shows all the time now. I'm like, you guys, it's just hair. Like, let's just have fun. Because the more stress we're putting into it, the more we're overthinking it. Sometimes the more complicated this is. And if you just feel comfortable and doing what you do best and delivering, then people are going to authentically be attracted to that, because like attracts like.
Yeah. Okay, I want to kind of shift again here, because you kind of gave me a segue there with you're evolving, and you've evolved into being a coach and a one-on-one coach. Tell us a little bit about that. What is that? Because I think you said that there was two parts to your coaching that you have, which was one is therapy and the other one's business. What do you mean by that? I mean, we all need some therapy, right? And that's why we call this Headcases. But what do you when you say therapy and business is the two sides? What does that mean?
It's mindset, right? Mindset and then execution. And I feel like mindset is such a big thing. And, there's so many people that hold themselves back in our industry because they're either not in the right mindset, they're afraid to ask for help, they're intimidated, they don't know where to start. So like mindset is a big thing. And I've actually evolved my coaching program into, like, I don't want to say life coaching, but kind of, because at the end of the day, it's really like delivering, getting yourself into a productive way of thinking and a productive way of habitual habits that become like the way that you're going to be not busy, but actually productive. Right. So, I think it's the mindset, and then it's the execution. And that's what I was saying about goal setting. Like, I'm a huge goal setter. Like, one of the biggest, and I'm sure you hear this all the time, when I do my first consultation with clients that call me and want me to coach, I'm like, what exactly do you want out of this program? And I would say 90% are like silent for a second. And then they're like, well, I kind of want to do what you do. And I'm like, okay, that's like 28 years of like, what part of that do you want to do? It didn't happen overnight. And with our industry shifting, some things seem like, oh, well, I can do this in a year. And I mean, maybe some people can, but sustainability for me is everything. And so I try to be, the person or one of the coaches that, just says, I've worn all of these hats. I can be your consultant and coach. And if I don't know the answer, at least I know someone in the industry that will know the answer.
Yeah. And it's like, if somebody wants to be Danielle Keasling with it, let's just pick a magic number of 10 different lanes that you've been successful in. Pick one. Just pick one of those and then get better at that. And then once you're good at that, then pick another one. That's what you did. That's what you went through.
And continuing. Like, now I'm like learning AI and how to scale courses. And I've now hired a coach, and I'm like, I'm on calls 3 times a day with these bigwig coaches that are like throwing Facebook funnels at me. And I'm like, I don't know what this is. Give me some
welcome to our world. Welcome to our world. So now you just saw an evolution again, and with another 1,000,000 miles. Now, first of all, I want to know about it. Second thing is I know, being a road warrior, I think I can guess where the name came from of another 1,000,000 miles. But is it as obvious as that, or where did the name come from?
Yeah. So another 1,000,000 miles was my aha moment after COVID, where we all like did what we needed to do in COVID. That's where Hair Biz and Beyond came. I was like, actually, that was a little pre-COVID. I was doing it as an editorial like class, but then when COVID hit, Hair Biz and Beyond became my coaching platform and my consulting platform for people to accelerate their business while we couldn't go into the salon. And then after we went back to work, I was like, wow, everything's changed so progressively and so intensely that like, what's next for me? Because everyone became a social media star. Everyone started promoting classes. It was like, oh, I got to do something here. And I think being fortunate enough to having some training and some imagination through Ulta gave me a perspective into like talking to consumers more and not just being so in our trade bubble. So another Million Miles started developing when I kind of thought, you know what, why I work on the side of the brands that sits down and creates budgets and pays influencers and pays affiliates and does all this. And I know the ins and outs of like what I'm paying people that probably have less credentials than I currently do. And I'm like, how can I do this for a consumer in a way that like I can actually authentically speak about things because of my lifestyle and because of my background in the hair industry and the fashion industry. And you know, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint by any means. And it is so fresh and so new. And like, I look at it and, you know, the long story of that is like, there's still things on the original website that I'm like, I hate, but like, I told my business partner, I'm like, if we don't just put this up, I'm never going to jump off the plank. Like, I need you to just do this. Like, I know this is not normal. I know that if, you know, this is like against all of the web people's design. I'm like, but it just has to be live because if it's not, I'm not going to actually, I know me, I know like my priorities and like, I had to jump. And so it's new. It's in the works. It's gotten a lot of traction already. It got some traction in Maxim magazine and it's going to happen. It's just day by day. But that's perfectionism is paralyzing. So I'm just like
they said that, and I know I said this in your intro, but it was of the 14 entrepreneurs to watch, and I think that was one hell of a kudo for you. But I believe in what you did there when you said, and it was our coach that gave us this one, and I pay a lot of money, and I'm happy to write that check from the coaches that I have. But they said 80% done is effing awesome, you know, because if you try to get to 100%, it's never going to get there. So, you know, if you're way past 80% on there, but it still looks beautiful. I encourage everybody to go on to that, to another Million Miles and take a look at that, get involved with it. Now, so I want to talk to you just very quickly about what pushes Danielle.
Ooh,
what pushes you to when it could be? Yeah, well, my son just sent me this note, and he wrote 80% and done is 100% effing awesome. So we'll try to keep it clean, even though I've been known to come out with the explanation or the expletives. What pushes you, Danielle? Because it'd be really easy just to sit back and coast right now. You got the awards, everybody knows you. You've been everywhere. You've produced you've helped brands succeed. But it'd be easy to coast. Why don't you just coast now?
I'm such a perfectionism. It's in my own head. Yeah, I just like thrive off. First of all, like I love helping and I love like watching people grow. Like that's what like makes me like crazy happy. And even without our industry, like I've actually in the last 2 years, just throughout my travels, and another part of another Million Miles is like traveling, right? So like throughout my travels, I've met so many people that aren't even in the beauty industry that I've like coached and, you know, given advice to. And I mean, we're talking like people that are on the news and people that have like CEO positions and executives. And, you know, I really just genuinely like love to help people. And then now I'm at a point where I'm like, wow, I'm in my mid 40s. So I'm a little like, okay, end game here. Like, how can I, like, how can I live the lifestyle that I want to live and be smart about it and, set myself up for that. So, money drives me. It's not everything to me at all, but it definitely checks a box.
Yeah. And I want people really to listen to what you just said about money. I remember doing an exercise with our business coach, and he was getting us to pull our values together. And we came up with all sorts of wonderful things like honesty, integrity, and family, and all of those great things, imagination. And then, and he said to us, you told us what your BHAG is. BHAG, just for the people listening, means your big, hairy, audacious goal. You got to get something. So
I love that.
So audacious and we just said, okay, our goal is we want an island with a helicopter, and our houses on it, so we could have all our business meetings there. My wife said, if you're having business meetings, screw it, then you better have 2 islands with 2 helicopters, because there's going to be no business on my island. But when he said that, and then he said, I'm surprised that when you have this audacious goal that you set, and yet you don't have abundance as one of the values that you have.
Ah, that's so interesting.
And we said to him, you mean abundance is a value? Of course it is. Abundance in spirituality, abundance in energy, abundance in love, abundance in money, all the things that you get. Money doesn't give you all of that, but it's one of them.
100%. It's like, actually, this is what I have been teaching my business partner. So I partnered with somebody about a year ago, and she had a very negative relationship with money. And I think I've exacerbated my relationship with money to make it like even more positive, because I'm like, we're going, like, I love that you said that, because I'm like, oh, when we get on our charcoal private jet with our brushed gold accents, and she's like, what world do you live in? And I'm like, a world of manifestation.
Good. Yeah, of reality, because somebody else realized it, somebody else manifested it, and if they have it, damn it, so can I.
Yeah, exactly. It's super important. And that goes back to mindset.
Yeah. I've got tons more that I wanted to get through here with you, but I've taken up so much of your time, but I can't go without asking the rapid fire questions. So, so just real quickly, I'm going to throw them out at you. Tell me whatever comes to your brain first.
Okay.
No right or wrong answer. Okay. What turns you on in the creative process?
Elevation.
Oh, and what stifles it?
Resources.
Yeah. Another one, also called budget, for the B word.
Okay, you said that.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah. Okay, an event or show that you loved, and I always talk about, boy, that was the show. If I would have that would have been my show to go out on.
Honestly,
or an event. What was the event?
Yeah, honestly, it was doing my presentation the following year after winning Hairstylist of the Year. Like, that was my heart and soul. Like, everything about that show was Danielle.
Love it. A thing in life that you dislike the most?
Social media.
Oh. And it's sort of a love-hate relationship, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. It is. It's actually Go ahead. It's just the feeling of having to do it to be successful.
Yeah. Interesting. I just heard a lot of this scuttlebutt going on about all the youth that's out there right now is moving away from it. They're actually buying old flip phones that don't have it. So it'll be interesting to see where we go on that.
Yeah.
Okay, and thing in life that you love the most?
Oh, thing in life I love the most. That's a hard one. Honestly, my career. Like, I can't imagine doing anything other than what I'm doing.
Yeah, especially being a marine biologist. Okay, most difficult time in your life?
Most difficult time in my life was 2018, actually. Winning Hairstylist of the Year was the best part of 2018. the worst was going through a divorce at the same time and having a
Oh,
lot of personal stuff come up
yeah.
financially and emotionally.
Yeah. Sorry to hear about that. Glad you got through it. Proudest moment of your life?
Last year, team of the year. Like, couldn't
Nice.
have been better.
Yeah. Thing that you dislike most about our industry?
Ooh, that's a good one. Right now, I would say, oh gosh, ego's gone. I would say credibility right now. I
Mm,
really, like, I get it. I get social. I get what people are trying to do. But like, sometimes I get really frustrated about like who's talking and what they're talking about.
yeah. Yeah. A living person that you admire the most?
That I admire the most. Ooh, gosh. Whew. There's like in our industry or just a
No,
living
no, just
person?
in general, just a living person that
Okay.
you admire the most.
Honestly, I just Matthew McConaughey.
Oh,
Yeah, he's been doing like some really amazing work and some coaching programs that he's really put himself out there and dove into that I've been a part of.
mhm.
So
Awesome.
yeah,
A person, living or dead, that you wish you could meet?
a person living or dead that I wish I could meet. Um, I wish I could meet. Gosh. It's going to be vague. I think I just need my own reality TV show. So a good
Oh,
producer.
I'd say yeah, a good producer. There. Well, Lee, you might want to. My son's a producer. You might want to just check with him after we're done this. Something that people don't know about you.
All of my other jobs before I was a hairdresser while I was trying to figure my life out. So I've been like, I've been a personal trainer. I sold dog food at one time. I was a ballroom dance professional.
Wow, that was 3. That's more than I even asked for. That's awesome. Okay, so and I'm just looking. I think we have almost the same
Oh yeah.
kind of our
Like our
knit,
little
and
like
our knit or crochet is
our little
almost matching.
blanket.
Yeah, our blankie, our wubby, so we can put our thumb in our mouth and curl up in a fetal position.
Exactly.
Okay, snap, just like that. You got a month off. Where would you go and what would you do?
I would go to Bali and I would be looking for my retirement house.
Oh,
Just like
you're
that.
just like that.
Haven't put
Your
any thought
greatest.
into that at all.
No. That was nothing on your manifestation wall.
Not at
I
all.
thought you just pulled that one right out. What's your greatest fear?
Greatest fear. Greatest fear. That's going to get deep, but I would say greatest fear is not having anyone in my life after what I'm doing in my career to share it with.
Oh, that's a good one. Favorite curse word?
Fuck. There's just so much there.
Yeah. Well, it's a verb, it's an adverb, it's a pronoun, it's a noun. You can use it any way you want. Favorite comfort food?
Favorite comfort food? Penny vodka.
Oh. If you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be?
Change one thing about myself, what would it be? I don't know. How my voice gets after I've had a couple glasses of wine.
Well, I'm going to have to be with you with a couple glasses of wine to find out what that voice is. So, what's your most treasured possession? Physical.
Actually, it's not even like here yet. I manifested it. My most treasured possession. I've always liked nice cars. I've never
Oh, I'm
actually
waiting.
I've never really indulged in like taking a huge leap. But I manifested a G-Wagon, and then someone that knows someone was like, Louise Hamilton, this Formula One driver, is going to help you get a G-Wagon for...
No way.
So that's a whole nother story for another day. But I was like, done. Here's the check.
Yeah, I want to be around when I watch you drive that. Something in the, I don't know if this is even relevant to you, something in the industry you haven't done, but you want to.
Probably, actually, honestly, it's this consumer approach. Like, I want to be, honestly, I want to be a household name. And I've worked with some ideas and some, people. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm going.
Interesting. I can see that. I'll put that, my manifestation board for you. I'll put that on there.
Love that.
And I ask this to people, and I don't want a pat answer to this one, because I'm going to ask you what a do-over is, like something you could do over in your life. And everybody always says, well, if I would have done that, then I wouldn't be the person I am. But if you had something that you could really do over in your life, what would it be?
Oh, do-over. I think that in all transparency, I had a really hard time setting boundaries. So I think I've lost a lot of personal relationships, being successful. And I don't know, do I regret it? Some of them, yes. But I don't know if I would really technically do it over. I might do it differently. Yeah.
That's the point. Tomorrow you couldn't do hair or anything to do with it, what would you do?
That's such a good question. I always say it doesn't matter. That's why I have so much confidence in this area. I'm like, if so-and-so doesn't want me, if this company doesn't want me, I am going to be okay. I will figure it out. I will always figure it out. There's a million things I would do. I'm in deep with this coaching about internet and performance and online, and I'm good. I will do 10 more jobs.
Yeah, that's what I want to have that. I'm going to have that put on my tombstone. I'm good. I'm good. Danielle, it's interesting. What I love about, I'm an introvert, but what I love about what this does, it forces me to meet really beautiful people on the inside and out. And I just want to thank you for your time, for giving up your time to be here and being so authentic and real. And it's, I have my good friend James Alba introduced himself to me, and he said, I'm going to be your new best friend, whether you want to or not. And I'm saying the same thing to you right now. You're going to be my new best friend, whether you want to or not. So
I love that.
If there's anything I can ever do for you, whatever, any way I can ever help, then I'm there for you.
Thank you. So, I really appreciate that. And thank you for having me.
I just say thank you again. It was just an absolute pleasure.
Aww. Always. And vice versa. If there's anything I can do for you, if you want to do something together, I'm all in, all for it.
Wait for the phone call. Here it comes.
I love it.
Danielle, thank you so much. Yes. It was an absolute pleasure.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.